embody the person that you want to be for that future that we're all desiring. And even though you may have to mourn past versions of yourself, you are showing up as the version that you want to see in the future. You are showing up as your highest self, and that will continue to change and evolve. But that is what's going to create the best, most aligned, connected, loving, peaceful future. I feel that in my bones, in my heart, in every cell of my body. So don't stop doing the things that we talk about on here. Of course, do what resonates for you, but don't be scared of evolving and changing, because that is what this world needs. The world needs you to continue to change and evolve and expand and see things from different perspectives. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Lindsay Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Alignment Adventures. I am so grateful that you're here with me in this time and space. And if you're listening in real time, happy Halloween Eve, or All Hallows Eve, if that's what you want to call it. It has many different names, and we can get into that in a little bit. But as you guys know, I am a Halloween girl over here. It is my favorite holiday. I love celebrating it, and I'm going to continue to celebrate it probably for a few more weeks for many reasons. But I wanted to continue the themes of spooky season, and I just had one more episode I had to get out of me before we get back to some interviews. I do have quite a few aligning and expansive interviews lined up for you in the month of November. But today I want to stick with the spooky season vibe because I had an idea for an episode that I just really needed to get off my chest and aligns with the season. So let's talk about why I'm going to continue to celebrate Halloween just really quickly. And I'm going to do a whole video on how I'm celebrating this holiday, which I'm actually calling Samhain because that's like one of the original names. It aligns more with my witchy ways and how I want to start celebrating the different Sabbats and all of that. But as you guys know, Halloween used to be called All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Day is the Catholic version, or there's Dios de los Muertos, and then the pagans originally celebrate it with Samhain. And Samhain is the midway point between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. So the actual midway point this year is like November 8th or 6th or something like that. So it's really more of like a time of year than like a specific date that it was celebrated in the ancient ways, or at least how I understand it. It's more of like a time of year than just a specific day. So I'm going to keep the Halloween spooky vibes going. And really a major part of this celebration or this time of year is that the veil between the physical and the non-physical is thinning. So think about that in-between time, which is what it is right now, the in-between time between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, the in-between time between day and night, which is like sunrise and sunset. It's just an interesting time of day where things just seem very different. And that is happening in our world right now. That's why we have so many holidays and all these different cultures celebrating, connecting with our ancestors or connecting with spirits, because it's much easier to do this time of year. So I am going to have a video up on my YouTube channel just explaining how I am celebrating Samhain or celebrating this time of year. So if you want to go and check that out, you can. I also have so many fall vibe videos up there, from a fall day trip to a video about me and my witchy ways, a video where I pull oracle cards, so many fun things up there, some themed yoga flows as well. But let's get into today's theme. So what I want to talk about today actually was inspired by a conversation I had with Lisa Schlossberg, which is actually coming out next month. But we talked about how sometimes we need to mourn old versions of ourselves. So let me explain what I mean by that. Now, this is something we've talked about many times, but I believe and I have seen in my own life that I am constantly growing and evolving and learning new things about myself, expanding my consciousness, learning new things. And that can be a lot sometimes. Like, it can truly be a lot. And sometimes I just need to stop, take a beat, rest, slow down, and acknowledge who I am now. And really like get reacquainted with yourself, because maybe you have grown so much that you truly need to get to know yourself again. And with that, many times you can feel this need to mourn the old versions of you, or the versions of you that don't serve you anymore, or mourn things in your life that you used to love doing, but now you don't enjoy doing them anymore. Like, are any of you feeling that? Like, you used to really enjoy doing something and now you just force it because you have that idea in your head and you're so attached to doing this one thing, but it truly doesn't bring you joy anymore. Like, what a perfect time of the year to mourn like the stopping of doing that thing, that you don't need to do that thing anymore because it doesn't align with you. And know that that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with you. We are all changing and evolving, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we are aware of it or not. We are all changing and evolving on a physical level. Obviously, each year we change. On an internal level, we grow and change so much. And that is something I've really been thinking about today. I'm actually recording this episode on my 33rd birthday, which I'm so excited about it being an aligning number year. You guys know I like repeating numbers. I'm 33. It feels so good. And I'm just so grateful for where I am right now in this time and space, but just know that there could be a possibility that I didn't feel that way. Like, I am choosing to be so grateful for what I have in my life for many reasons, because I do have so many beautiful things going on. But know that that is also a choice that I am making. I could get caught up in the fact that I thought I would be like lost in the woods in my RV with Stephen and Arlo, and on my birthday at this time. Like, that was the original plan, right? But no, right now I'm in my in-laws' guest room recording this episode, and I'm extremely happy and grateful and just trying to be so present in this stage of life. But I didn't have to mourn that version. Like, that's a really good example of this topic in action, and I've mentioned it here before. When we stopped RV life, like, that was such an identity for me. I felt so lost afterwards, and I did have to mourn that dream. Like, Steven and I had to mourn the dream of RV life. Now, with that being said, I do think we'll do some version of that in the future. We still say that even after all like the craziness that happened with that trip, we still want to do it in the future. It's just interesting how life works. But in this time and space, I had to mourn that version of myself. And how did that look? First off, it's just giving yourself time and space. Maybe it's talking about it to a friend. Maybe it's journaling about it. Maybe it's meditating about it. Maybe it's, thinking about it as you go out and walk in nature. It always goes back to those things, right? But just allowing yourself to mourn that version of yourself, or mourn the things that no longer serve you. I also had a yoga flow on letting go, which is such a beautiful time to let things go. That's what Scorpio season is about, which we are in Scorpio season now. I am a Scorpio. That's what fall is about. Look at what nature is doing. I'm in such awe of the trees. Like, I'm obsessed with the trees right now. They are so gorgeous, and they're just allowing themselves to change. They are allowing themselves to let go of the things that they do not need in the season, and they are going to continue to thrive in the next season. And that also reminds me an important point I want to make about this season. And even though I'm talking about mourning old versions of yourself, and like the definition is the act of sorrow or an outward sign of grief for someone who has passed away, or like mourning old versions of yourself, a major theme of this season is death, or letting things go. But it doesn't have to be in like that scary way that we think about it in like the scary shows we see, which, don't get me wrong, I love a good like spooky thing every once in a while, but I'm more of like the playful spooky type. And let's talk about like the symbolism of things dying, quote unquote, dying in our life. We're letting things go that we've outgrown, that no longer serve us, that we feel called to release, so we can step into the highest version of ourselves, so we can step into the best version of our life, so we can live in full alignment. A huge part of living in alignment is letting things die, letting things go. And it doesn't have to be this spooky, scary thing, even though obviously I'm playing into that theme this time of the year. But it's just a huge theme of fall. The trees do it. Nature does it. It lets things, quote unquote, die so it can continue to thrive throughout the seasons and be reborn again in the spring, just like you can do. You can leverage that energy as well in this season. the main point I'm trying to make is that mourning something or letting something quote unquote die symbolically in your life, or letting go of something, doesn't have to be scary. It's okay if you are scared to do it, but you don't have to be scared. It doesn't have to be this thing that we let fear dominate, and we let the fear of letting it go and the fear of wondering who will be without it stopping us from actually letting that thing go or letting that thing die in our life. I talk a lot more about this on my Halloween/Samhain video on YouTube, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. Another good energy that you can leverage is we just had a lunar eclipse on the 28th. You can still feel that energy. Lunar eclipses are like magnified full moons, and full moons are such a beautiful time to just like check in with yourself along with your birthday, right? Like, I think I said this already, maybe I didn't, but it is my birthday today as I'm recording this. So like, whether it's a full moon or it's your birthday, like check in with yourself and just see how much you've grown, what's working, what's not working. And if you need to mourn old versions of yourself, take the time to do so, but don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't get stuck in a timeline that you thought was going to be your current timeline, but is not. That is just robbing you from your current timeline. Like I said last week, the present moment is always the way, but you can acknowledge that maybe things didn't work out the way you thought they would, but they did for your highest good. And maybe you can see that right now, and maybe you cannot, but you just kind of have to have that trust sometimes. Like, tune into your heart or your gut, wherever you feel those nudges for you, that internal guidance, wisdom, and just trust that life is flowing you in the direction that you need to flow in. And sometimes it truly is just surrendering, which doesn't mean doing nothing, but just like allowing your life to go in the direction it is being nudged to go, and trusting that it's all working out for your highest good. And it's okay if you feel sad about past versions of yourself or things that didn't work out or things that you wanted to be. That's okay, but don't let those turn into ghosts that haunt you. I had an episode about that last month. And if ghosts come back, that's okay too. It's just something that needs to be felt. But I feel like so many of these issues come from like us not allowing ourselves to feel our feels around a certain situation. So if you feel sad about, a version of yourself you used to be, or maybe you just want to like acknowledge a past version of yourself or acknowledge who you are now. That is so powerful. Awareness, I always say, is like the biggest tool we can have in our toolbox. Is just being so aware of who we are and how we want to show up in this world. And this also connects to something I talked about 2 weeks ago in creating the future we all want. But that's something I have really been getting a little lost in the past few weeks. Now, as I talked about in the episode, this is why I go back and listen to my podcast, because I need these reminders. I was getting a little lost in the fear around many of the situations happening in our current reality. Now, it's such an interesting balance of being aware and not like just getting lost in the fear, because when it comes down to it, I think that is what certain entities are trying to do, is just promote fear and separation. Like, if you just get on the news or social media, there's such polarity around these topics. And there's people saying these people are the right people, or these people are the right people, or just like trying to prove their point. When it comes down to it, where I stand, like, I am never for the killing of innocent people. Never, never, never. I wish that wasn't a thing. I wish we could stop that. I wish I had the answers to stop that. But when it comes down to it, for me, I always believe in like tuning back into myself and just remembering that being divided isn't going to help bring peace in this world. Coming together is going to help bring peace in this world. And I'm just trying to hold that energy within myself. And like I said before, finding your own alignment and then taking action is so powerful. So I'm not saying do nothing to help this situation, but tune into yourself, find your alignment, and act from there. From there, maybe that will inspire you to donate to certain causes. That is what happened to me. Maybe from that space, you'll feel more confident or aligned to speak out about certain things or use your voice for certain things. But when action comes from your own alignment, it is so much more powerful than when it comes from shame or guilt or like you should do something. So I just beg you during these times, and I know it's hard because there are so many like fear narratives out there, rightly so. Like if you turn on the news or watch some of these things, they are very scary and very sad and very disheartening. Like, do what feels right for you. Gather the information that resonates with you and like inform yourself in the best way that you can. Let me just acknowledge that that's hard. That's hard in this time and space to like know what the truth is. Like, I have seen pieces of information on social media, which goes to, obviously, you need to not trust everything on social media, but they like directly conflict each other, and it can be so hard to know what the truth is. And I think that's what's tricky, is everyone has their own truth based on their experience and what they're seeing and what they're choosing to listen to and what they're not choosing to listen to. That's why, again, I just encourage you to tune into yourself and then act from there when it comes from these places. And most importantly, back to our topic today, is just like embody the person that you want to be for that future that we're all desiring. And even though you may have to mourn past versions of yourself, you are showing up as the version that you want to see in the future. You are showing up as your highest self, and that will continue to change and evolve. But that is what's going to create the best, most aligned, connected, loving, peaceful future. I feel that in my bones, in my heart, in every cell of my body. So don't stop doing the things that we talk about on here. Of course, do what resonates for you, but don't be scared of evolving and changing, because that is what this world needs. The world needs you to continue to change and evolve and expand and see things from different perspectives. That's something I've noticed too, like when I am trying to educate myself about what's going on in the world, I can notice myself, like I just observe myself as I'm watching these things, and like any defensiveness that comes up or any shame that comes up, and just gently be aware of that, and then tune back into what I want for our future, what my own personal goal is for our society and our future, which is peace. And I just try to emanate that vibration as strong as I can. And I do want to say too, just on another note, sending so much love and compassion to anyone directly or indirectly affected by all these truly horrific things that are happening. I mean, it's sad that I have to say that things like this are always happening, maybe not on this scale, maybe not to this degree, but I'm just sending so much love and compassion to anyone that needs it. I am sending you love and praying and embodying peace for these people as much as I can. So, side tangent there, but it is connected to our topic today of mourning at past versions of yourself. So I hope this episode was useful for you all, just like the rest of the ones that I've shared in this month of October. We've covered a lot of different topics connected to fall and spooky season. Like I said, I am going to have more aligning and expansive conversations that you do not want to miss. So make sure you are subscribed if you're not. And you can always watch the interviews on the YouTube channel for Alignment Adventures Podcast, or you can go check out my personal YouTube channel where I have lots of content there around fall and just really living your most aligning, present, and fulfilling lives. That is my personal YouTube channel of Lindsay with an A.M. Tanner. Please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And I'm just sending you all so much love, so much compassion, so much support, so much alignment, so much enlightenment, so much connection to anyone that needs it. And of course, I will see you in the next episode of Alignment Adventures.